Hello and welcome to HyzerMedia's coverage of the Warwick Disc Golf Championships. This tournament is run by Skylands Disc Golf Club and is brought to you in part by our Patreon family. If you'd like to become part of our Patreon, you can do so for as little as $2. Welcome to the final round of this tournament. If you haven't seen this tournament before, it is an A tier that takes place. These players playing for that trophy you just saw, and our card today are the 4 leaders after 3 grueling rounds out in the heat here at Warwick Town Park over 3 different layouts. Today we will be playing the 4th and final round, 4th and final layout, starting with blue tee to blue basket on hole 1, which is a par 3. 351 feet uphill, so plays probably closer to 375, maybe almost 400 feet with a steep drop off behind and an out of bounds island on the left side you have to avoid. Fans of the channel will recognize our first on the tee, Harry Chace, was in 3 of the 4 rounds that we had just covered last week at the Disc Golf Open of PA, coming just short of winning that tournament. Now in the lead with a few strokes here with 1 round to go, trying to get that 1 place better this weekend. And starting off pretty well. Needs to slow down a bit, and that is the danger of this hole. Kinda hard for most players to go long, but if you do, you fall to the fate that we just saw Harry did. Scott Conway going to try to throw it a couple feet shorter, second on the tee, closest to Harry. Best chance of catching him in this final round. Takes a little lower route, gets a little skip up. He'll have pretty easy up and down for his par to start round 1. And third on the tee would be Kyle Moriarty, trying to go somewhere in between Harry and Scott's first throws. And looking like a good line, just a bit low. And slides right up to the rocks that mark that out of bounds, but he will be safe. And fourth on the card will be none other than the originator of the Brinster hop himself, Steve Brinster. Definitely one of the more famous, been in the game long time for our area player. First time on our channel. Very excited to film him and now commentate for his final round. Gives it the width, but looks like a little bit too much hyzer angle. It does skip through that out of bounds, and he is safe and will have probably a long circle 2 look to start his round off with a birdie. Scott doing the smart play, knows how much of a hill there is behind, just laying up. Looks like Kyle will be doing the same. So now here's Steve for his long look for a birdie. Ooh, good bid. Could have snuck under over the rim if you just were a couple inches to the right. So now here's Harry. He's actually down in the fairway of 2, just pitching up, and does a good job. Definitely not the easy upshot you want to start with. Steve still has a little bit of work left for his par. High right with that hyzer. That should stay in most of the time, so good putt for him to get his round started. Harry with a similar distance, but looking back down that hill. No fear though, he makes quick work of his par save. As Scott and Kyle are within 15 feet, so it's looking like we're going to start this round off with a par frame. Hole 1 coming in over par by a tenth of a stroke. Like I mentioned earlier, we are playing the longest of the 4 layouts. This tournament played 1 round each at all 4 layouts here at Warwick Town Park. And this would be the hardest, so we'll keep an eye on how these players face against the field as we move over to hole 2, par 4, 522 feet. First shot, you're trying to get out past this corner trees here, which really opens up your ability to get up and over this hill in your second shot. You can go the way the drone is flying here, or out wider to the left near the red barn that we saw. Either way, you're trying to land around the basket to give yourself a look at your birdie. Harry going with the forehand. It's a good shot shape. Need to get something that'll flip out. Looks like he caught a little bit of that wide edge, but he's right at the mouth, so he should have probably an angle to the left side of the opening on the second shot. Scott going with the backhand turnover. Nice high floaty shot, and beautiful. Straightens out just in time, landing in the perfect spot. Kyle also going to give us a look at that forehand line. Looks like he got a little bit tighter, trying to correct from Harry. Huge flare skip and 30 or 40 feet past where Scott landed, so he'll have probably a pretty easy straight look at that right gap if he wants to choose that one. Steve, lots of height, good turn and floating down. Not down enough, catches something and falls down. He is right in the middle of the fairway, so you can see here he does have a clean approach, but not the right angle you're looking for. And using the wind to float that all the way down by the red barn. There is out of bounds if you go too close to it, but he is safe, albeit up in the bushes. So he'll have maybe a difficult up and down to try to get his par even. Harry looked like he got caught up in those trees. He'll be just on the other side somewhere. Maybe kick down left a little bit. Scott out far enough to get that straight line like we talked about. He'll be in the circle for his birdie. And this is a great shot for Kyle. You get this far out into this first open field, you have a pretty easy approach. Although he sawed that one off a little bit. Not able to take advantage of how close he actually was. Maybe sometimes players get further down the fairway than they practice and just aren't quite sure what to do. Harry and Steve down in the bushes on the left side. Just having to pitch up, try to save their par. Not able to quite get close enough on their second shots. But honestly, from where Steve was, that's a good second shot. And then third, just to get up and save the par. You really need to be out where, at least where Scott was. Especially where Kyle wound up, to try to give yourself a clean approach to the green. So now Scott with the only real chance for a birdie out of this group. Oh, just a bit low, catching the cage. So now everybody is right around the green, within 10 to 12 feet, so. Should be another par frame to start off this fourth round. Hole 2 was playing as the second hardest hole in the field on this round at a half a stroke over par. These players also obviously have been through 4 rounds in the heat and the humidity, pushing mid-90s both days of this tournament, so fatigue definitely setting in. If it hasn't already, it will by the end of this round. As we move over to hole 3, par 4, 435 feet, going uphill, trying to find a line through some of these trees up this rock wall tier for your first shot. And then second shot, you want to get up on top of this rock wall, more of a cliff, to give yourself most likely a death putt looking backwards. for the potential birdie. Harry's got some good turn on it. Oh, just catches one tree. He'll be in that little nook of the edge of that hillside there between that and the tree. Not the ideal spot, but probably far enough up that he shouldn't have too much of an issue. And Scott actually gets a fortunate kick right at the end, back out away from where Harry landed, so he might have a better angle around or over that hill. And I think this is more the height you're looking for. Oh, and almost gets up there. Kyle's shot catches the top of it and kind of rolls back down. See if Steve can make the correction from these three. Winds up in the same spot pretty much as Harry. So all four of these guys are going to be thrown from about the same place. They'll all have a little bit different challenge to overcome. Oh, Scott barely making it over, catching the rocks, but now he is pretty close to give himself a good chance to score. Oh, and Steve catching a tree and kicking far left over near the next hole's tee pad. He'll still have a difficult up and down. Harry with awkward footing, not able to get enough power. He'll be just below the basket. A difficult attempt coming up to score for his birdie. And that's more of what you're looking for from Kyle. Probably in the best position again, able to take advantage. And Steve throwing great shot up and over, nice and safe. Plenty of room behind the basket. The challenge really is not to throw too far, giving yourself a long look back at the basket. And Harry able to putt from a floor below, and his height there definitely helped him. More level than someone like, say, me, trying to putt up a level there. His height will make it a more even playing field for him. Good save for Steve and good birdie for Kyle. That's pretty much how you want to play this hole. Scott fortunate to get up over that cliff, just barely making it, but now he'll have an easy putt for his birdie. So 3 out of 4 of these guys able to get their first stroke of this round, take all the way till hole 3, so definitely playing as the harder layout. As we move over to hole 4, par 3, 289 feet, definitely one of the shorter holes on the course, going again to the blue baskets, so all the way down OB Road behind. You can see here pretty much a straight shot until the very end of this grassy fairway, and then you want something with stability to start fading down the hill quickly. Probably a putter or a mid-range. Because of the downhill and the close out of bounds behind, you really don't want to have something coming down there with a lot of speed. Both Harry and Scott catching trees. Scott threw a little bit of a flex line, which is not a bad idea to try to negate the speed coming down. As Kyle throws a straight Hyzer, and it rolls all the way down. So he'll actually have a putt at it. See if Steve can try to get down there cleanly. Very aggressive Hyzer line and catching a tree late and kicking back right. So this is a very close but still difficult approach. Again, with a severe downhill, trying to just get down through whatever line you can find and still slow the disc down to give yourself a putt to save your par. Harry catching a tree, but that was probably fortunate, looking like there's a little too much stability falling down to the left. Would have given him a longer putt. And Steve just barely thrown it halfway, letting the hill do the work. And that is a good move, because he is pretty much parked. So Kyle just catching some leaves. Had a pretty good attempt for his birdie, but now we'll have a couple putts to see if we can get our third par frame. And Scott starts us off the right way. Harry a little obstructed, able to straddle out, make the putt. This hole is playing right about in the middle of the field at 0.17 strokes over par. But either the fatigue, the heat, or the difficulty of this layout certainly playing it. As we can see, the stats say only 4 holes played under par on this round, so certainly going to be difficult to score, but this is a lead card, so if anybody can do it, it's going to be these guys. And this is another difficult one. Hole 5, par 3, 368 feet, but uphill, and then the basket on this elevated rock pile even more so. So easily playing over 400 feet of power. Harry's still with the box. Going to show us what it's like to try to get up here. And does a pretty good job. I think especially with this lead, Harry's just trying to keep it in the middle. Pitch up, not trying to get a birdie. Scott, probably the complete opposite. Knows he has to start pushing now with this difficult layout and strokes to gain. And he does just that. Gets quite a bit further up the fairway. He is on that second tier. This is a very dangerous basket to run with a severe drop-off behind. So Scott will have a decision. Kyle also only 1 stroke back from Scott. So it looks like he's also playing aggressive here. And Steve, with his skill set, could always go on a huge run, even though he's still a few strokes back from the rest of this card. Takes a strange skip off of the rocks, but that's something you kind of have to play for, or at least expect. Hard to kind of predict which way it's going to go, but these kind of random shaped rocks all around here do give discs strange reactions. So there is a flat spot right on the top these guys are aiming. So here's Scott with the decision. See if he's going to go for it or just get it up and move on with a par. It looks like he... Okay, it's set. Almost rolled all the way back, but that didn't look like too much of a run. This is probably a smart hole not to try to push on. Maybe if he had gotten it a little bit closer. And Harry still has a little bit of work. Not the easiest 12-footer you're ever going to come across, but he makes it happen. And this green, you can see, it really doesn't matter how close you are. You're going to have strange footing. That could always throw off your timing. Give off a little low, little high release, and anything can really happen. But these guys able to avoid any mistakes as we move over to hole 6. Par 4, 489 feet. Off the tee, they're trying to just throw something flat with a strong finish, or Hyzer trying to use the full width, get around here. Would be an ideal shot, setting yourself up for a fairly easy approach to this sloping down green with yet another drop-off behind the basket. Harry going with the wide Hyzer and catches the one tree right in the middle that these guys have to decide to either go in front of or behind. Scott going to the left of the tree, gets good skip. He's just about up to that big tree that we saw in the whole preview. Should set him up for a fairly easy second shot. Kyle just sneaks around the tree, but maybe not enough Hyzer. He's kind of on the outside. We'll see exactly what he has for his second shot. And Steve going inside. And great shot. Big flare skip. He's up even further than Scott. So the fortunate part of this hole is it's a par 4, but only 489 feet. So Harry still had a chance to reach the green. Looks like he sawed that off a little bit. He'll be on the left side. Not quite on the green yet. And beautiful recovery shot from off the fairway. Kyle will still most likely be carding the birdie from there. And Scott juicing it a little bit. Fortunate to stay up on the edge of the green there. He'll still have a putt. And Steve looked like maybe kissed the tree and landed right next to Kyle. So, two real close. Harry is probably circle 2. Oh, it needs to sit. Oh, and it does. That was on a rolling angle for a moment there. Lucky to sit down where it was. Great putt by Scott. Able to get the birdie. As Steve and Kyle are right there for birdies as well. And Harry not too much further away for his par. So the card all gaining a stroke on Harry, and that's what they need. Don't let him open the gap. Gotta try to close it as you get closer. And it is down to 4 strokes. As we move over to hole 7. Par 3, 440 feet. Gotta throw up and over this hill. The way the drone is going, you can also go a little bit wider to the right. And then down, under, or around these couple of trees. Basket is found on the back side of this last tree. And the park lot is out of bounds long. So, quite a bit of danger here. Flat, laser drives, maybe even a couple rollers, we'll see. And it looks like roller right off the bat from Scott. Going out left, needs to start coming back. And yeah, it hooks up right back to the middle. Good shot by Scott. This is a long par 3. Up and over with a low ceiling. Really does make it a difficult hole to get. Kyle also going with the roller. Just narrowly missing that tree. And gets all the way up to that last tree. A couple feet past Scott's shot. So he may have a low ceiling look at his birdie. Steve going with the low liner, a little bit too much hyzer maybe. But gets a little skip left side. He is in the fairway, so I think a lot of the players are maybe trying to get all the way down, but really not that upset with a par here, as it is very difficult to access the green. Harry with a bit too much height. Steve with the forehand approach, having the disc finish away from the parking lot. Very smart move. Harry, same decision. Young Harry maybe taking a little bit of the expertise from the veteran and showing off. As Scott maybe little half bid. And Kyle definitely laying it up. Doesn't need to risk going down into the parking lot. So, looking like we will have yet another party. These guys are quite separated from the rest of the field, so they know they're pretty much playing against each other. So it's almost match play-esque, as they're pretty much getting the same score on every hole, pars or birdies thus far. As we go over to hole 8, par 4, 434 feet, trying to get out of that gap that we just saw in the first throws. Difficult task, but if you do that, you have out wide forehand or backhand turnover shot, or the straight gap that we saw the drone fly through, but the danger would be over the marked out of bounds island. The road is also out of bounds if you manage to get that far. Scott looked like it was turning over pretty well, but caught a tree and kicked down left. It does drop off pretty significantly straight and left if you don't get far enough right, as we'll see. Kyle over there as well. Looked like he fell short of that drop off. Steve with the backhand, a very difficult shot, but almost. Oh, he does catch a tree and kicks all the way down to the silver basket. So he's out in the field, but it's going to be very long distance from there. Harry playing the skip shot. Looks like he got caught up right around this rock wall. So, no one quite able to make it out the right gap. We'll see what they have from their lies now. That needs to come down. Oh, and a good kick back out into the field. That was looking like it was heading right towards the out of bounds. So Steve maybe having as close to the distance from the tee pad still after his first shot as you possibly could, and absolutely laces it from being way out of position to park job for birdie. Great shot. Couldn't really ask for much more from that position. That's a difficult choice to make, but he was able to accomplish it. So Harry coming up a little bit short after catching some of the trees. Again, you almost prefer that, what both Harry and Scott had, to come up about this short, then get through cleanly on the lines that they were at, because there is that out of bounds staked island we're looking at that obviously would cost them an extra stroke. So Harry just, he'll get a birdie. That's a little low off the pole. Good putt by Scott. Saving the par. And Steve, like I said, from maybe almost 400 feet away from the basket on his second shot, absolutely parks it, getting the only birdie on the card, bringing him that much closer. On to the final hole of this front nine, par 4, 489 feet, uphill on your first shot, avoiding this out of bounds peninsula on your left, trying to land around here, clear of the tree, give yourself a clean look at the basket. Downhill to a little bit of a bowl and a roped out of bounds line on the left side, right about in the middle of that rock wall. A couple little trees on the second part of the fairway to avoid. A few years from now, this may be a much more difficult hole. Steve catching that out of bounds, but skipping straight up in the air, but forward, and able to avoid that out of bounds area. Probably not the play he was going for, but it worked out. And wind helped a little bit getting Scott under those branches. Looked like it was maybe a little bit too high, but that will work out just fine. Kyle deciding to go a much higher, wider route, but catching those outside trees, and just barely gets up to the crest of the hill, so he should still be fine as long as he's past the hanging branches of that one big tree. Harry going wide. And swinging back in, catching those limbs, but able to get through. Landing right near the silver basket. But again, we're going for the blue, which is down the hill. Can't quite see it from the rolling hill angle here. Kyle landing right by that small pine tree, so maybe circle's edge, maybe a couple steps in. He'll have a putt, but he's gonna have to avoid that tree. Steve, high wide, trying to spike it down. Oh, and right on the edge. You can see the rope there marking the out of bounds. He's just a mere foot or two inbounds, and Harry having to actually avoid the silver basket as an obstruction in the course for this layout, but able to do so quite nicely, and he should be right there for an easy par putt. Birdie putt, excuse me. And Scott as well. So here we see Kyle. This is for his birdie. Oh, off the top of the band and saved by the tree from going out of bounds. That line is very close to the basket, and he was barely able to stay inbounds. So two of these shots flirting with the out of bounds, but staying in. Steve, fortunate to now have this birdie putt. And nails it. Scott also making his birdie putt look very easy. And now Harry to join them. Nice confident putt. A couple of these guys are starting to get close to him, but he's not really showing too many signs of nerves. So good on Harry. He is going into the back nine with a 4-stroke lead over Scott, only 2 back from Kyle. Thank you for joining us on this front 9 of the final round of the Warwick Disc Golf Championships. I hope you join us to see the conclusion of this tournament on the back 9, which we are heading over to right now.